Hello, this is Leanne Maciel with Poets and Quants. Thank you all very much for joining us for the summer edition of our Online MBA event. I am pleased to have two very special guests joining me for this session. They are both current Online MBA students and are here with me today to share a bit about their experience, about their respective programs, and their advice for you who are all considering an online MBA and perhaps even interested in the programs that they are attending. They're here each representing UCL London School of Management and ESMT Berlin. So thank you to Ren and Xiaofeng for joining me today. Appreciate you both being here. And I would love to just begin by getting to know you both a little bit. So if Ren, we'll start with you. If you can just share, who you are, your school, and what your current role and industry is, that would be great.
Great. So my name's Ren. I'm studying at UCL. I'm doing the Online MBA part-time, and my role, my work is I have my own design studio. So I specialize in interior design for well-being. And it's something that I launched while doing my MBA.
Oh, great. Well, you are a busy woman launching a business while doing that. That's great. Well, look forward to hearing a little bit more about that. And what about a fun fact about yourself?
Fun fact, I'm a painter. So I have hired a studio. I'm moving in tomorrow and I do very wild, expressive painting. So that's how I release the stress.
Very nice. Well, thank you for joining. And Xiaofeng, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're located, your school, and what your current company and role is.
I'm currently in Taiwan, and I am in the global online MBA program at ESMT. And my current role in my career is a material researcher for Columbia Sportswear. Yeah.
Very nice. And what about a fun or interesting fact about yourself?
Yeah, I do pottery as a hobby. Yeah, we do arts, and for exercise, I started boxing from a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Very fun. Well, we have two artists on this panel. I love it. It shows that kind of art, the balance of the serious business and art and release. So I love that. So let's get into kind of your thought process and decision-making around an MBA. So Xiaofeng, let's start with you. If you could share a little bit about your thought process, where you were in your career when you decided thinking about an online MBA, what chose you to decide to pursue it, and then also within that, did you consider other programs, a full-time program or another type master's type program as well?
Yeah, before I was applying for the online MBA program, I was working for Reebok in Boston, and I have been in that role for like similar roles. I had some lateral moves, and that have been 8 years. And my background, I have a bachelor's degree in English literature and English language. So for me, I learned about business all by doing it. I learned from work, and when I was trying to develop my career, I found that a bit difficult because I knew I could deliver. If I was on a job, I can learn from the job, but it was a bit difficult for me to communicate that in an interview. And at the same time, I was also thinking about starting my own business. Maybe that was the way to change my career path. And then I thought of the knowledge that I actually lacked to have a framework to deliver who I am, to deliver how I can do at work And or even if I want to start my own business, I still like a lot of knowledge around that area. So I started looking into MBA programs. I thought of taking one in Taiwan. I could move back to Taiwan at a time, and I could take one from here. But I worked for Reebok starting in Spain, in Barcelona, and then I moved to Boston. I found the international environment was where I could thrive. So I thought, oh, maybe I should look into some European schools where critical thinking would be more encouraged. Yeah, that's why I looked into European schools. An online program was because of COVID. We were home. It was hard for us to travel, and we need that flexibility. Yeah.
Great. No, that's a great, great journey. And I love how you're so international. Do you speak Spanish as well?
Very little.
Gotcha. And then what led you specifically to ESMT Berlin?
Yeah. When ESMT Berlin was the first school I looked into, and I saw there are 3 pillars: innovation, leadership, innovation, analytics. And that was the things I was looking for, because I used to work in innovation apparel department, and I feel I still had some answers. I still had some questions that weren't answered, and leadership was something I want to have a framework of, and analytics, I had no experience in that, so that was why.
Got it. Okay, great. So I love that. One school, this is the one I want. That's great. Also makes it a little bit easier too. Ren, can you share a little bit about your experience? What were you doing in your career? Why an MBA? What did you consider as you made the decision?
Yeah, so before I started the MBA, I was working in the luxury interior design market in London. So I was running, multi-million-pound projects, designing some of the biggest homes in the city and all over the world. And prior to that, all of my training was in creativity. So I have an oil painting degree. I have a postgraduate diploma in architectural interior design, and had been working for quite a number of years, maybe 7 or 8 in London, and really wanted to sharpen up my business skills. I also had a dream of starting my own design studio. And interior design actually requires a lot of business. It's a little bit of creativity and it's a lot of project management and business. So I was excited about the idea of broadening my skills, getting some really tangible business skills. And UCL really stood out because of the flexible nature of the program. Because my work is extremely intense, and sometimes there'll be very, very intense periods of the project, and then it will sort of lighten. So the adaptability of that online MBA really appealed to me. And it was, it is online, it's global, but I also like the fact that UCL is based in London, where I'm based. Yeah,
well, that's great. So let's stick with that, because you started to talk a little bit about the program. Share with us, a little bit about the learning experience. What are the classes like? How many do you take at once? And, how do you interact with the professors and other students?
So you can take up to 3 modules at a time. The most I've taken is 2. I usually take 1. I've got my own company now. I'm not doing the MBA to sort of get a job immediately. For me, it's really about learning and incorporating everything that I learn into my business. So I'm doing it slowly, basically. And also having a new company, it's very full on. So that's a bit more manageable for me. How it works is that I take a class each term. It's an online lecture every week, and then there's async work that you do. So videos to watch, things to read. And the class sizes are small. I have a lot of one-on-one time actually with the professors. There's a real intimacy within the program that surprised me in a really nice way. Like, I really feel like I'm developing bonds with people, getting to know them. I know my professors. I feel very visible, like not just like one of hundreds in a room. So the class sizes are super small. So it's been, yeah, really positive personal experience for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. What, how big are the classes? So, you know, you said small, that, you know, that can vary from school to school.
I'm trying to think, I think the biggest class I've been in is maybe 10.
Okay.
You know, so
great.
small. And yeah, maybe up to 15 at the most. So it's nice because it's like you get to meet, you know, different people. But for me and my learning style, I like sort of more intimate groups. I learn better that way. So it really, really suits me.
Right.
And I think online, you know, it means that you're actually having conversations with people and you can have good debates.
Yeah. And then what about, you know, you talked a little bit about this in terms of like group work or work with teams versus, you know, you wanting obviously to be able to pace yourself and some of the individual, you know, videos and work that you do. You know, how do you work with teams on, you know, if there's team projects, and how does that work?
Yeah, so because we're based all over the world, it's kind of interesting. So there's different time zones to navigate. Usually every module has at least one group project. Sometimes there's like 3 or 4. So we use WhatsApp a lot. You know, we'll meet on Zoom. Yeah, it's we sort of set it up digitally and sort of make a plan together. But there is group work. Yeah.
Right. And what would you say that percentage is of the group versus your individual work?
It can be 50-50. It kind of depends on the module. So I just finished one module where there was a lot of group work. It was sort of like 75% group, 25% independent in terms of the assignments, but the sort of async work is pretty much all independent. And then obviously you can check in with people that are doing the module if you've got questions or want to discuss stuff.
Sure, great. So Xiaofang, same kind of question overall, you know, how many classes do you take? How many can you take? And, you know, how are you interacting with your fellow classmates?
Yeah, so at ESMT, the Global Online MBA program is divided into 7 modules, I think, if I don't remember it wrong. And each module, there would be 1 to 3 courses, and every week it is 1 session, and 1 session of 2 courses at the same time. And every week we have to follow through the progress, and we have to either checking all the contents is in the hub, and every week we have to complete the sessions by the end of the week. Yeah, and we have live classes, maybe 2 to 3 for each course. Yeah, and 2 sessions of the live classes because of different time zones. Yeah, and with our classmates, with our cohorts, we the same communicate through WhatsApp. And for assignments, we would work. Sometimes we work individually on a shared document, and we meet to finalize the document, or we meet multiple times to share ideas, to brainstorm. Yeah, it depends on the groups, depends on the courses as well.
Great. Okay. So outside of this, you know, academics, do either of you participate in any kind of student organizations, or, you know, tell us a little bit about how you, you know, network and communicate with your peers, you know, outside of just the coursework?
Yeah, so at ESMT, there are some student clubs, groups, but because of the time zone, it was a bit hard for me to participate. I signed up for a couple, but it wasn't easy for me to join the conversations. But with my classmates, it was very nice to have, sometimes we had social events through Zoom sometimes, or because in our class, there are, I think, 10 women among 45 students, and we try to organize a women's group as well if they want to join, and we just had a social meetup before the end of last module as well. Yeah.
Okay, great.
And yeah, and we share our experience, we support each other when sometimes it can be frustrating, like when the course content was challenging or when our family life, etc. was hard to cope with the course, and we need some support from each other. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great that you're able to do that even no matter where you are in the world. What about you, Ren, in terms of student organizations or clubs or just kind of getting together, whether it's virtually or maybe perhaps even live in London?
Yeah, so I mean, with UCL, there's lots of options. It just depends on how busy you are and how much time. So personally, yeah, there's a group of us in London that meet up. So actually we went to a Rolling Stones concert a couple of weekends ago, which was really fun. And actually ran the head of the program, which was hilarious. I was part of a women in management book club, which was great, which was done virtually as well. I do some executive coaching, and there's a group of us that are working on public speaking together. There's an online group called Circle, just for the MBA, and anyone can join. I'm part of it, and it's sort of a space for us to present ideas, get feedback, sort of explore things. You could do almost like a pitch if you wanted, or I've developed a white paper recently on social sustainability and design, so I'll present that, and get feedback. So there's lots of opportunities to get involved outside of the coursework, just depending on how much time you've got. So within the MBA group, but also within the university.
That's great. So Xiaofan, I actually have a question from one of our viewers who's wondering if your program is really suitable for those who might be, I think, local Taiwan and focusing on business in Taiwan, or is it more for kind of European or English local businesses? I guess so. Do you really feel that it's applicable for no matter where you are in the world in terms of what you're learning in the curriculum?
I think luckily I'm working for an American company, so it was a bit easier for me to adapt what I learned from the MBA course to my work. But I think the course, the value of the course transforms how we think and how we take the experience at work. So in a way, it is not very easy to apply in Taiwanese business. However, I believe that is the trend we need. We need more diverse opinions, we need diverse thoughts, and we need the tolerance from different people. And I would encourage people to do that wherever they decide to work. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question, Yanfei, I think. Let's talk a little bit about work-life balance. So Ren, I'm going to start this with you, given you're starting a business, which is a big undertaking, in school and hopefully some personal life in there. Can you talk about kind of what are some ways that you balance everything and keep yourself sane in the process?
I think I'm still working it out. Having a new company, it's very alive, and there's moments of real intensity, and then it sort of backs off. But honestly, I think having the resource of the MBA is really helpful for sort of managing stress. So although it generates work doing a module, there's also this incredible resource of teachers and mentors and friends that I can lean into when my business is, stuff is going on and I've got questions. So actually, that's an interesting interaction. I've also realized how important it is to really take time off because I love what I do. I'm very obsessive. I can get stuck in my own little world designing and working on my company, but, having, a few hours where I go into the forest and go for a walk and sort of really disconnect from the digital world, and just reconnect to me. It's so, so important. And that's something that, I've really realized that I need to do this year. So I think being really intentional about, I'm going to take the morning off. I'm going to go for a long walk. I'm going to focus on wellness for me. It's really important for me. And also actually it generates more energy for my work. So boundaries, I think. Yeah.
Excellent. Good advice all around. And what about you in terms of, are there any other tools, Xiaofeng, that you would say, if someone's thinking like, God, I already have a full life, maybe I have a family, maybe, I still want a personal life, but the online MBA is really appealing to me. What are your thoughts around, work-life balance?
Yeah, I think planning is very important. First, self-discipline. We have to follow through our plan, and I try to put my personal or social activities into my work calendar to put them together, so that I can really push myself to follow through. At this hour, I have to go to the gym, and on this day, I have to celebrate my family's birthday. I have to plan that through. And when I have the time blocked, I might need to study ahead so that I have time for my other activities and also for work. And like I had my new job in May this year, so I had a lot to learn, and the planning became even more important after that. Yeah.
Great. What would you say so far? So I think, Xiaofeng, you said you started the program last November, was it?
September, yeah.
September, okay, and it ends in November, right? So almost a year you've been in there. What would you say are the 3 hallmarks of the experience, or things that when you walk away, you will remember or think fondly about of the program?
I may not have 3, but I'll try. I think the first one is to be vulnerable. Like the whole experience really let me be brave to ask for help, to tell people something that I may not know. I think that's the first one. The group activity or interaction was very important. And to take the knowledge in, because we didn't know we need that. And then after we took the course, the contents just appear, like relevant information just appear at work or somewhere else. I think that was it.
Okay. And what about you, Ren? What would you say are 3 of the things that you like the most about the program, and that you believe you'll recall fondly once you're done?
I mean, the first one is definitely the people. Like all of a sudden you have this amazing network of people that are super inspiring and super driven. Amazing people that are in industries that I wouldn't have necessarily interacted with. So it's like, it's not people that I would have come across in my day-to-day. So that is an amazing resource. I think being intellectually challenged so much for me is exciting. It's like I can feel, I've got new conceptual models to play with, and I feel braver. I think also like the vulnerability of learning and asking for help, there's a bravery that comes with that. That's 2. I mean, there's so many things. But I'd say the people, the intellectual challenge, and becoming braver. Those are perhaps my 3.
Gotcha. I love it. So you both come from non-business undergrad backgrounds. And I know, so I'd like to talk a little bit about that, because as we kind of start to wrap up the last couple questions, your advice for people who are sitting in, where you were, months and, maybe a couple of years ago, thinking about an online MBA. So what would be, and Ren, I'll start with you, your advice to someone who, I majored in design, I majored in art or something, and I'm thinking about an MBA, but I'm concerned about the quantitative aspect, the analytical aspect, and will I match up with my peers? What would be your advice, or your what would you say to that person?
I mean, I would be lying if I said it was easy. But that's the whole point of doing an MBA, is to learn and challenge yourself. So there will be modules that are easier. There will be others that are much more challenging. And that's also why you've got a community that you can lean into, your peers, your teachers, and ask for help. So I think if your goal of doing an MBA is to stretch yourself and to learn and to challenge yourself, which if you've got a creative background, I mean, it's going to be an amazing asset. It will give you an edge. So I'd say go for it, but you will have to work. But that's okay.
Good advice. What about you, Xiaofang? What would you say to those folks?
Yeah, at ESMT, actually in the data-driven decision course, the professor provides different content for people like us who are not so into data or numbers, and that help us to understand the concept, although we don't know how to do, like that was, yeah, she shared some videos from YouTube, and that was dancing analytics, I think. Yeah, and that was very interesting. That helped me understand the concept before I know how to do the analysis. And besides that, I think, like Rain just mentioned, we have to rely on our classmates and be engaged in the course. I think we just shouldn't walk away from the challenges. And if there are tutor sessions, for example, in ESMT, we have tutor sessions, join and ask questions. Don't walk away from the difficulties, and also be okay to feel that we are not the smartest person in the class, and it happens in some courses. Yeah, we just need to just raise our hands and say, like, we need more help, and there are classmates that are really, really willing to help and support. Yeah,
that's great. So basically you're both saying it will take work, but there's support and there's help, and it's not a reason to shy away from the idea. That's the synopsis I'm getting from both of you there. What about, so you both also had, good careers for a number of years. What I guess the question is, is it worth it, right? It's an investment of money, of time. For someone who is, moving along in their career, maybe 10 years or so out of undergrad, and the things are going well, and they like their company, and they're, trying to move ahead, and thinking like, it's a good idea, but is it really worth it for me? And I know you're still both in the program, but what would be your advice to that person in terms of the program and it being worth the career and the time and the investment they're making? Ren, I'll start with you.
I'm sorry, the lights have gone off in this little space, so I'm a bit dark and moody.
We can still see you.
So without a doubt, the MBA has accelerated my career. So I'm in a much further position than I would have been without doing an MBA. So, they are huge investments. It's not possible for everyone, but it will, I believe it will accelerate your career for you. So it's it's been, for me anyways, it's been a very worthwhile investment.
Great. And Xiaofang?
Yeah, I think the program is not the tuition is not buying us the ticket to progress in our career. It's the work that we do in the program that help us. And I think the program is for people who want to expand their capability in the work environment, in terms of leading a team or to understand different parts of the businesses. I think that really helps. And this is for people who want to do the work to learn more. Yeah.
Great. So my last question, a piece of advice, someone who's thinking about an online MBA program in general, someone who's thinking about your specific program, what would be your one piece of advice to them? Ren?
I mean, I think talk to someone who's done a course, talk to a couple of people, familiarize yourself with the program, for UCL, talk to a student advisor. I think I was a bit pessimistic in a way about doing something online. I thought it wouldn't be so personal, and it is so personal, so yeah, I love it. It's great. I mean, I'd strongly encourage anyone to do one if they're interested. But I think, ask questions, get informed, talk to people who've done one, talk to people in that specific program to make sure it aligns with you and what you need.
Great, good advice. And finally, Xiaofeng, your thoughts on that?
I would encourage the applicants to really think through what you need from this program, what the program would mean for you. I think that is at least for me, I think that's the key for me to getting to the program as well. And when the time was challenging, that's the drive that keeps me going as well. And when you are in a program, I think, again, try to don't shy away from relying on classmates. And when you have the expertise to support your classmates or the energy to support your classmates, do so. That would be my advice. Yeah.
Great advice. Well, thank you both very much for taking the time out of your very busy schedules and in the middle of the night. So appreciate your time. For all of you watching, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you again soon. Have a great day.